if I said we had the recipe that is guaranteed to make the best Manhattan, would you want it? Would you try it?
Hell yeah.
How about if we had the prescription for financial security? Would you want it? Would you try it?
To get more Manhattans? Sure.
Well, that's what we're sharing today, folks, on Queer Money episode 377, 2 of the ingredients that build financial security and wealth. Now on with the show.
So we're hoping our mixology intro piqued your interest, that you thought you'd stick around. Because this is an important episode, and one I know that some people might think that we talk too much about, but we don't think we talk enough about because not enough people have caught on yet.
Booze?
Booze, yeah.
No.
We don't ever talk about enough about booze. So just 29% of the respondents to the Motley Fool Debt-Free Guys LGBTQ Money Study said they held a mortgage, and only 37% said they were investing in a retirement account. This is concerning to us because these are the two greatest wealth builders in the United States of America today. And many of us are, for whatever reason, opting out, not participating, whatever the case may be. And we need to change that. There are a lot of people who are missing some great opportunity.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think when studies come out or surveys come out and they have this kind of data, people oftentimes look for reasons why we can kind of dismiss the information. And I think one of the things that people might say in this is, well, all the respondents are young people, right? So they haven't gotten to the point in their lives where they will get a mortgage or they will be investing in a retirement account. And that's not necessarily the case, because the average age of folks who were in the study was over 35. I want to say it was closer to 36. So these are individuals who on average have been most likely working for more than 10 years, and most likely have been out of college for 10, 15 years. So these kinds of steps are probably the steps they should have been taking in life.
Exactly. And I think we're talking about averages here, right? We're not talking about the extremes. And that's not to discount the fact that we do have a sexual orientation and gender identity wage gap, that we do experience discrimination more than the general population, right? So we've talked about the study from the University of Iowa that was reported in CNBC several years ago, that same-sex couples are 73% more likely to be denied a mortgage, with all else being equal, than their heterosexual counterparts. So we do have some headwinds that we're facing, but we're talking about averages here, and these averages that we're concerned about are quite low because whether we want to or not admit it or let it happen, we're all getting older.
Yeah, right.
We're all going to not be able to work one day. We're all don't want to be reliant on the state, because state-sponsored anything is pretty much garbage, right? So
and we all want. I don't think that there's a queer person out there, even the individuals who are the 3% who are adamant socialists. Though there are almost every single one of us wants to have the money that allows us to enjoy the life that we want. And that doesn't happen if you aren't figuring out some way to build that. Right?
Yeah. I mean, the contradiction is we talked about the purchasing power of the LGBTQ community most recently was estimated at $1.4 trillion. So as a community, we have the money.
Right.
What are we doing with that money? And could we be using it more wisely? We're not trying to nitpick anybody's spending habits, what you want to spend your money on, how much you want to spend. That's all well and good. Our goal is just to make sure you have enough of a foundation that you can continue to live the life that you want, whatever that is for you. And with the way that we're not investing, the way that we're not going into real estate, it's likely that a lot of us are going to get to some point in our life, especially more likely when we're older, where we just don't have the resources or the money to be able to continue to live the way that we've become accustomed. We shared the experience study from a couple of years ago, 2018, that found that we spend most of our money on travel, entertainment, and personal hygiene. We spend a lot of money on those things too, so we're not just judging anybody for doing that. But we've also made investing in the stock market, investing in real estate, investing in our own small business, the pyramid that builds financial wealth, a priority in our lives, so that I can still get the best face cream even when I'm 80, so that I'm better. My skin is smoother than that 82-year-old down the hall.
You bring up a good point. It is, what are our priorities? And we'll admit, I mean, we know that early on in our lives, we've talked about this, our priority was partying and having a good time, happy hours, fancy designer jeans, and all of that shit that is gone. We will never see that. There's no value in it for us today.
Not true. I still have a pair of diesel jeans in my closet that I can't fit into.
And actually, you have a couple of pairs of diesel shoes, but
those I still wear.
Right. Well, and then you also have a couple pair that have.
This show's not about me, David.
But the point, I think that the point is that it's important to prioritize future you just as much as it is present you.
I love that. Yeah.
Because if you don't prioritize future you, then you will eventually get to future you, and you'll do what a lot of folks do. They look back on their golden years, the golden days. They look back on those days and say, oh, you remember when things were so great back when? And sadly, we hear that a lot from a lot of older LGBT people, because earlier in their lives were really fun and exciting, and they were doing a lot of things that they didn't necessarily plan on living this long.
There was a study that came out not that long ago that talked with folks who are in retirement age, and asked what they would have preferred to have done differently in hindsight. And people weren't ruined by this. It wasn't cataclysmic, but they did say that they wish they would have started investing earlier. They wish they wouldn't have spent so much money on some dumb things. It was just these lot of annoyances that had they had the forethought, they would not have wasted their money on, or been that frivolous with their money. And I guess that's what we're trying to encourage people to do now. I mean, there's going to be some sort of a safety net. You're going to have some sort of, most of us are going to have some sort of support if we need it in some way, shape, or form. We might not necessarily like the support that we're getting, but we're going to have some sort of support. But we just want to do what we can to help make people not get to the end of their life and just say, I wish I could have just done it a little bit better. I wish I had the kind of care I wish I could afford the kind of care that I would like to have. I wish I could rest in the home that I would like to rest in. Just to have some options too, because that's one of the keys to happiness. And a lot of the reading that I've been doing lately is one of the keys to happiness is to be able to have the to feel like you have the control of your life. You don't necessarily have to have control of your life, but you want to be able to have the feeling of having control, having agency over your life. And we don't want people, I don't want to get to this point. I know you don't want to get to this point. We don't want to get to a point when we're older, where we don't have that agency and everything has to be done or managed by other people, or we have to deal with the cheapest of everything because that's the best that we can afford, or that's the best that we can get for free.
Or we're 75 years old and we have to deal with a really shitty 32-year-old boss because we have to work somewhere where we have no choice. We have to work, right? We don't want, no offense to Walmart and Walmart greeters, but I don't think many of us want to be the Walmart greeter, right? When we're 70, 75, 80 years old, because we want to be able to, and remember, I brought this up before, the Golden Girls episode where Rose basically said, how did I end up like this? I thought I did everything right? Well, think that a lot of us need to reflect on, are we doing some things that we could do just a little bit better? And it doesn't mean that you need to go out and buy the most fabulous home or have $1 million in your retirement account by tomorrow. Just start. Start making that progress.
It's just a series of minor tweaks that we could all make just a little bit every week, every month, every year, to slowly improve things for ourselves. And that all will compound on itself and get us to that goal of happiness and unicorns and rainbows and a prairie.
Yeah. With this in mind, I'll just throw out there that John and I are switching the series that we're going to be working on for the bonus episodes over to something that is a little bit more focused on this. And we want to highlight gay cities or accepting cities the most accepting cities across all 50 states where it is affordable for us to live. Because all of us would love to be living in New York or LA or San Francisco or Miami and those great places where there's lots of queer people, but not all of us can afford that. But that doesn't mean that we can't buy a home somewhere where we find a queer community that is accepting and we can afford to live there and afford to save for retirement.
Exactly. So more to come on that. But meanwhile, stay tuned for your Queer Money takeaway from this episode.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Queer Money Podcast. Here's your takeaway from this episode. Make the commitment, not to us, but to yourself. Make the commitment to start saving for your very own piece of real estate, whether that's to buy a primary home or, for those of you who already have one, just start investing in real estate. And then also make the commitment to start increasing the contributions that you make on a regular basis to a retirement savings account.
Then join us next Tuesday when we talk about how to overcome the fear that's paralyzing many of us in the LGBTQ plus community. And then next Thursday when we talk about LGBTQ plus healthcare in the United States. Thank you and have a great week.